Hi, so this is my first ever video, so bear with me if if things don't actually go according to plan. So first things first, I'm Sarah. Welcome to Plotting It in Pyjamas. I like to read, write, anything to do with words really. It's always been a passion of mine, and yeah, it's something that I love to share with others as well. So for today's video, I'm going to be delving into the BookTube Newbie tag. So I will be answering a few questions to do with that and to do with the channel and moving forward, just to try and get into the swing of things and like hopefully get a bit more confident talking in front of the camera. So question number one, why did you start this channel? So I started this channel, I've never thought of like doing a YouTube or TikTok or anything like that. As you can probably tell, I'm not the most confident person, especially in front of a camera. But my friend April, she's got her own BookTube channel. I will probably link it below so that you can go check her out. She's been documenting her journey for years. And she's been talking to me about it, and we've had a few discussions, especially as the years have gone on, and yeah, it's just been one of those things that's come up a few times in the past year or two. I've actually been thinking of it more and more, especially when we talk about hers and all the different things we can do with it. So yeah, that's why this channel is in creation really. So yeah, if you like it, it's mainly due to April. Okay, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? Good question. I don't actually know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. It might be, I don't know, I really don't know the answer to that one. What are you most excited for about this channel? Sharing my thoughts, having someone to bounce some ideas off of, just, yeah, finding some people who are as excited about the books as I am. If I really like a book, I can talk about it for hours. So I do apologise in advance if I'm talking a bit too much about a book, or if I go on long tangents, because yeah, if I'm interested in it, I am just going to talk, and that's just the way it is. So I do apologise in advance. Why do you love reading? Okay, so that's that is a very hard question to answer. I've been reading since I was tiny. Even before I could read myself, I'm fairly sure my parents were reading to me. It started as just an escape, so I loved going into different worlds. Like, I've always loved a bit of fantasy. The earliest books I can remember reading were things like Alice in Wonderland and Enid Blyton and all of those mystical places where you are along for the adventure with all these mythical characters, and yeah, just a world of adventure out there that's magical and suspension of disbelief. Like, anything can happen in a story, anything can happen in fiction, and it can happen to anyone. So I think I just love the fact that it is so open-ended. What book or series got you into reading? So I don't know I don't know the answer to this question because there are so many series I can remember reading as a kid, or books that I can remember reading as a kid, but I don't know. Harry Potter was possibly the one that I started like properly reading. Harry Around that time it was Harry Potter, Alex Rider. What else? What else did I like reading? I loved Northchild, which not many people have heard of. It was actually one of the things that April and I bonded over at university. So, not many people have actually heard of Northchild, but I loved the book. I just loved the concept and I thought it was so cool. Um, and then the series that actually got me into historical fiction is a series that revolves around a character called Lady Jane Cavendish, I believe. But it's like, it's kind of a murder mystery set in Elizabethan England. And at the time, I thought that was amazing. Um, that and The Gauntlet. My history teacher recommended that when she found out how much I loved history. And it just, yeah, it sparked a love of historical fiction. It combined two things that I absolutely love, so history and fiction. And yeah, it opened up a whole new world to me that I hadn't even thought about before. But now, yeah, absolutely love reading and writing historical fiction. It's just amazing. um What challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? This sitting down and making a video, talking to a camera. I'm not usually the type to sit and talk to a camera. I'm not usually the type to sit in front of a camera. So that's going to be interesting. It's also going to be interesting seeing myself, because I'm going to be looking at it thinking, oh, I don't want to post that. I'm not sure how good I look, basically. I'm not sure how I want to be perceived of it. So I think the challenge is going to actually be getting the confidence to post the videos. I will quite happily show books. I will quite happily do that kind of thing. But being in front of a camera is possibly going to be one of the more challenging aspects. Okay. When did you start reading? I think I've kind of covered this, but just in case, I've been reading since I was little. I don't remember a time that I haven't been reading. I remember like the was it Chip, Biff and Floppy? Oh, I can't, is it that? This little series when I was a kid, like with the dog and yeah, Chip, Biff and Floppy. If you're in the UK, you possibly know them. But yeah, they had the magic key and were exploring and all those adventures and great stuff. And yeah, I read quite a bit of Enid Blyton growing up. So the Toy, was it Toy Town? Magic Faraway Tree. Just all those like kids stories. I can't actually say I got into Narnia, like the Chronicles of Narnia as a kid. I have when I was older, but as a kid, just reading it, I wasn't that interested. Um, but yeah, my mum used to sit and read to us in the evenings, and we read so many amazing books that way. So I don't honestly remember when I started. I just know I've been reading for years, and that's just always been part of my life. Where do I read? So anywhere, is that an option? Primarily at the minute I read on my lunch break, so I sit at my desk with a book and just plow through. I usually get through at least a chapter on my lunch breaks. And if I'm not reading at lunch, I read when I get home, generally in this little corner here, yep. Or I'll read in bed. I read a lot on Christmas Day. If I'm not travelling, Christmas Day, I'll get a book in the morning, and by night, I'll have generally finished it. If I like it, that's generally how it goes. You can't really pull me away from a book, which is great. But I will read anywhere. I read on the train if we're traveling. Yeah, I think anywhere really. Anywhere that I can sit down and read. I'm not a massive fan of walking around while reading. I know a few of my friends at school used to read while we walked around, and I'd point out if they were going to bump into anything or things like that. But I prefer to actually be able to sit and read, not read as we walk. So, what kind of books do you like to read? I mentioned I really like historical fiction. I quite like fantasy. With me, the fantasy is kind of like fantasy realism. So I like it if it's set in a real world and there are fantastical elements. So mainly magic. But I do love, like, I still love if it's a fantastical place. So like April series, Steel Princess, I really enjoy that world. Um, Harry Potter, obviously, they've got the magical realm. What else have I read? What other fantasy books? Yeah, I've read loads. I'll have to try and think of some. Obviously, the North Child series book that I mentioned earlier, that's set in a magical world. I think part of it's based on real life, and then you travel through a mountain and go up to the North Pole. So yeah, um, I'll read fantasy, historical fiction. I generally stick with the Tudor period, but I've read most of Philippa Gregory's books, and I've read other, wait, Alison Weir. I've read some of hers. So yeah, I mainly stick to Tudor period, but I will expand depending on what I'm thinking at the time. I recently read The Foundling, I believe, which was based on a foundling hospital in Victorian England, which I found really fascinating actually. But yeah, so I'll generally stick to Tudor fiction if it's historical fiction, but I'll read anything pretty much. I've been reading a lot of romance recently, especially Christmassy romance. So like the kind of mysteries there, but like romance, and then murder mysteries, thrillers. I love them. If they've got mystery, I'm there. I usually love watching murder mysteries, and reading them is just as good, I find, if not more. Although, yeah, I can generally pick out, because of how many I've read and like watched, I can generally pick out who the murderer is before we're supposed to know. But I still find them great. I love them. What does your book collection look like? Big. There's no other way around it, really. It is a mesh of different genres, different books, different age ranges, really, as well, because I've got some YA, I've got adult fiction, I've got books I had when I was a kid, so like if they were gifted to me. I've got just everything, really. Anything and everything. It doesn't really matter so long as it's there. I think I've still got some horror books from my time at uni, despite the fact that I'm not a massive fan of horror. Horror and sci-fi are probably the ones I don't tend to go for. But I'll still read them every so often, but they're not my favourites. I mean, love I used to love reading my friends' work, even though I wasn't a massive fan of that genre usually. So yeah, it's great. What else? What else? What else would you like to know? How do I feel about cliffhangers? Um, Depends if the next book's out soon. I'll be honest. Cliffhangers, I hate reading them, and I hate them in TV series, but I don't mind doing them myself. I think that's an awful thing, though. A lot of the people I talk to are the same. don't like reading them, but I don't mind writing them. I mean, like, if I know that the next book is out or it's due out soon, I don't mind it so much. But if you leave me on a cliffhanger and then don't finish, or like it's gonna be another year or two before the book comes out, I'm probably going to forget the plots, and I'm notoriously bad for reading the first book in a series, and then if the next book hasn't come out, I will forget what was the first book was about and forget how much I enjoyed it by the time the second book comes out. So cliffhangers are probably not the best for me. Hardback or paperback? So I love the look of hardback. They look so pretty, and they're less likely to like have the spine damaged, which is great. But just for ease of carrying around, paperback is probably the way I go. It'll get shoved in my bag. It's not as heavy. I can generally carry around at least 2 if I've got paperback. If it's hardback, it's a bit more difficult. But yeah, I'm happy with either really. Hardback if I want it for display. If I love it that much and I need a display, a hardback is the way to go. Favorite book. I can tell you my favorite book of the year. So this year, 2025, my favorite book series was The Naturals. I don't know which one was my favorite in that series, but I know that was my favorite book series. My favorite book is... It depends if it's just recently. Recently, I keep recommending How to Kill Your Best Friend. That was a great one. I promise that it is not a hint at anything, because I get asked that a lot. But that was a great book. It was really good. And then, yeah, I really liked the Natural series recently. If we're going back, North Child was one of my favourites. Harry Potter was a favourite. Yeah, just like I said, Lady Grace Cavendish was one of them. I've got so many. I loved Night School, but I didn't love the ending. So that series, I loved it, but I did not like the ending, which kind of ruined the entire series. But that's beside the point. We're not talking about that. Least favourite book. I have only had one in recent history that was a DNF, and that was, I don't remember the name of it, but the characters were Lily and Dash, and it was one of those ones that everyone was saying was great, and my sister had got me it for Christmas, and I felt so bad because I just couldn't finish it. I couldn't get into it whatsoever, and I don't know what it was. I just couldn't. But I hate having DNFs. I will sit and read it until the end, even if I don't like it. I will sit and read it until the end, just so I don't have it marked as a DNF. Love triangles, yes or no? I don't mind love triangles so much, but they irritate me sometimes. So it's one of those tropes that I can get behind it if it's not the sole focus. If it's the sole focus of the book series, no. But if it's like minor background kind of thing, I don't mind it. It's fine. A book you're currently reading. So in the Christmas spirit, this is the book I'm currently reading. Escape for Christmas by Philippa Ashley. I've only just started it. I only started it like yesterday. So, as you can see, I'm still checking, because I can't finish a book and go straight into another one. That's just, my mind is still on the previous book. So that's why I say I only started it yesterday, because I finished my book yesterday. Okay, favourite author. That's a hard one. I don't even have like a favourite author per genre. I can tell you that my favourite, I have 2 favourite historical fiction writers. Definitely don't have a mystery writer that's my favourite. That's a hard one. I'm not entirely sure. I like too many different books to actually name an author that is my favourites. I mean, I could say April. April's my favourite. Let's go with that. April Grace. Bookmarks or dog ears? Bookmarks. I don't like dog ear on my pages. I don't know what it is. I tried it as a teenager and it was fine. But as I've got older, the older I get, the more I'm like, no, you can't do that. That's destruction. That is not something that I want to be doing. So yeah, bookmarks all the way. The prettier the better. I've got some personalised ones. I've got like sparkly, anything. Just a pretty bookmark. It's great. Can't go wrong with a bookmark. Can you read while hearing music or listening to music? Yes, I can. If I'm really into the book, I won't notice the music at all. If I'm not into the book, it won't make much difference. So I always say I grew up in a house with 3 other girls, like my sisters. The house was always noisy. It didn't matter what was going on. Unless people were asleep or eating, the house was loud. So I just kind of learnt to block it out. So it doesn't matter what's going on around me. If we've got music, my boyfriend knows that if I'm reading, I probably won't respond to him unless I'm mid-chapter or end of chapter or something. But yeah, I'll quite happily have the music playing while I'm reading. And I know a lot of people find it hard to have music that's got lyrics when they're reading as well, but it just doesn't faze me. I can have music. One POV or multiple POVs? Depends on the book. I quite like writing multiple POVs. It gives me, as an author, it gives me a bit more freedom, and you're not stuck to, oh, they can't know this yet because this person doesn't know it. But at the same time, it's a great way to have a protagonist that you're following and to have some red herrings and things. So it really depends on the book and the setup. I don't mind either. There's no like, yes, it has to be this way for me to read it. I will read it all. Let's be honest. Do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? Most of the time, multiple days. Because obviously I can't usually just sit down and read for a day straight. As much as I would love to, I can't. So yeah, unless it's Christmas or over the Christmas period or over my birthday when I've booked time off or when we're on holiday, I probably won't be able to finish a book in a sitting. But unless it's a short one. If it's a short one, yeah, let's go for it. I think I read the novella from The Naturals in like several hours, maybe, in one sitting. Because yeah, I just saw it, started reading it, and was like, yeah, let's go. I think that's everything. So if you have any other questions that you want me to answer, not that you'll probably be watching this very soon, but yeah, if you've got any questions that you want me to answer, put them in the comments. If you want any of the books that I mentioned, if you're interested, let me know and I'll try and get a link to them. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there. I don't really know what I'm gonna do as an outro right now, but there might be something after this. So